Hey guys, today we're going to talk about a banded squat. In this variation today we're going to talk about the banded back squat. Now much like the chain squat, it's basically some accommodating resistance in the squat as you lower down to the bottom position or the eccentric portion of the back squat today. The barbell is essentially going to be getting lighter because there's less tension on the band at the bottom of the squat. Now in terms of the setup, what we want to see here is that the dumbbells, make sure whatever you're using to anchor your band is that the dumbbells are firstly heavy enough that they don't move, depending on how much resistance you have on the band, and make sure they're set where you plan on putting your feet when we squat. We don't want to set the dumbbells underneath the barbell when it's in the rack, because then when I step back, the band's going to be pulling me forward. The dumbbell wants to be set in the same position where I expect my feet to be when I squat, and of course, same for both sides. Now the bands, in personal opinion, would be that these are a poor man's version of chains. And the only reason why is that you can't really measure how much tension is coming through the band. Of course, you could use the same band every single time, place the dumbbells in exactly the same position, wrap it with the same amount of tightness, but it's not as accurate as using something like a chain where you know exactly how many links are on the barbell. Now, I'm going to firstly demonstrate a rep, and this is going to be a bad rep. And the reason why this rep is going to be no good is because you're going to see the bands are going to go really slack at the bottom, which means there's essentially zero tension from the band. So as you watch, I execute just like a regular back squat, come underneath the bar, unrack, I set my feet in between the two dumbbells so the bands are completely vertical. Now as I squat, you can obviously see there is some resistance on the barbell. As I start to come down, now you can see there's essentially no resistance on the bar because the band's gone completely slack. So the resistance only comes back in as I hit halfway up the squat. So again, as we come down, there's now nothing from the bands come back up. So we got to fix that. Now there's a couple ways you can fix that. You can either just loop the band around the barbell a couple more times, but again, it's hard to measure. I'd rather actually just take the band off, and if we come on in here, we're basically going to loop it around the dumbbell another time, one more time, and probably for a third time as well. And that's going to allow me just to tighten the band up a little bit more compared to what it was. So that's taking another couple of inches out of that band. I actually might even do one more. So I'll do 3 around this dumbbell, and hopefully you can see already it's going to be much harder for me to bring that band up and around. Leave that there. That dumbbell is just about heavy enough. I've got some heavier dumbbells in the 30s. I'll come around again. I'll do 3 loops in this one as well. That's 1, that's 2, and that is 3 straps around. So hopefully this should be enough that when I hit the bottom of my squat, there is still some tension from the band at the bottom. So as I come out, I can already feel it's a little bit heavier on my back. As I come down, we still now have a little bit of tension on those bands and come back up, opposed to my first set where I came down and there was no tension at the bottom of the squat. So again, a few pointers here. Make sure the dumbbells are set up where your feet plan to be for the squat. Make sure there's enough tension on the bands so the bottom of the squat and the band is still taut. And lastly, make sure you have heavy enough implements on the floor that your bands do not shift them around when you're squatting.